kind of a do what you want and let's see how it works out.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and because of that, you know, like I like country music, like old school country music, you know, so we do some of that, you know, and the dobro player, Jody Moser, he also plays lap steel on it, you know.
Okay.
So
That's neat.
we do some things with that, gives it kind of more of like, it sounds like Hank, you know, it's
Okay.
just
Yeah.
like basically the same lineup, the same instrumentation that Hank Williams had,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Okay.
And like that kind of sort of sets us apart from the straight ahead bluegrassers
Sure.
as well, you know, and,
Right.
and especially the old timers, like the old time people seem to like think that's crazy
Yeah.
that we would do that, you know.
Yeah.
But
That's neat though.
it's like I just like the music, and I just want to play as much of it as I can,
Yeah.
you know, and I want to incorporate as many facets of it as I can into
Mhm.
our original material. You know, we mostly play most of our set is our own material. You know, we have this album coming out, Poison River, is our third full length release inside of 4 years.
Okay.
So, you know, there's 40, you know, 35, 40 original songs to play, you know, which is a nice thing to have.
Sure.
You know, especially
Yeah.
when people like to point out to me that we aren't either of the things that we claim to be. You know,
Yeah.
I can just say, well, yeah, but this is what we are.
Right.
You know?
Sure. And you got 40 songs to prove it. Right.
I mean, you know, we got 40 songs that might prove it. You know, you never know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned the new CD, and that's due out in about a month, called Poison River, and so let's talk about that a little bit.
It was a really neat project to get involved in. You know, we put this the current lineup that we're playing with. We've had it for about a year. You know, a little bit more than a year now. This group's been together, and you know, we were touring with and selling and playing the first two records, and like I realized that I really liked the sound of the older songs with this lineup.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So it became a thing. It's like, well, you know, we released a live album last year. We didn't have an actual studio release last year. The last studio release was in 2016.
Oh, okay.
So it was, you know, it was time to do another one, and I really felt like I wanted to put something out that represented who we are now.
Sure.
You know, so and the records before were all the first two releases. First one was The Lane Change. The second one's called White Lightning Road. They were mostly songs I had written with some like traditional or semi-traditional covers,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I wanted to do it differently this time because we have now like 3 songwriters in the band, you know. So one major departure from the first 2 albums, the sound of those, to this one, is that there are people that wrote other songwriters on it.
Right.
You know?
Cool.
Ray Bruckman, our mandolin player, has 2 instrumentals on it. Libby wrote a really pretty fiddle waltz that's on there called Hesper's Waltz, and there's a song that she and I wrote together. And then you know, 4 tunes that I wrote. There is one song written by a late Pittsburgh great fiddle player named Sue Cunningham. One song that she wrote called St. Anne's Prayer, and we did one cover of a song by a now defunct band that was called Sweet Sunny South. They were out of Colorado.
Hmm.
Our bass player had this album, you know, and he was at my house, and he was like, "Man, check this record out," you know, and he said these guys aren't around anymore, but they were a really cool band. They actually, I thought they were kind of similar to us in a way. They had all the elements of traditional stuff, but they weren't doing it, you know, quite that way. So we covered one of their songs on it, you know. And I mean, that's kind of it. You know, it was a lot of fun to get together and kind of piece the songs together. Oh,
Sure.
There's the first single off the album that's out right now is a song called "When the Red Bud Blooms," and it was a really neat story the way that song came to us. It was about a month and a half ago. We played this random gig in West Virginia, in Tyler County, West Virginia, and it was for the countywide Farm Bureau Association convention. You know, and it was maybe 4 days before we were going to go down to national media to do the last session, and we needed 2 songs and we had 1. You know, and an older gentleman, I mean, in his 70s, you know, walked up to us and introduced himself as his name was Ron Fletcher, and he said, you know, I wrote a bluegrass song one time, and I never could get a band to record it, and it would be one of my dying wishes would just to have someone record this song.
Wow,
you know?
that's cool.
And yeah, and we looked at him, and I said, "Well, sing it for me," you know. And he sang it. It was a waltz. The way he'd written it, it was a waltz.
Uh-huh.
You know. So I asked him I gave him Libby's phone number, and he called Libby and sang it into her voicemail, so we would have it.
Yeah.
You know? And we actually put the recording of him singing it on the album as well.
Really?
You know.
That's cool.
Yeah, there was something about it that was just really, like, really, really cool and sweet, you know. And,
yeah.
And we called him up, and I said, you know, hey, if you don't mind, I'd love to work your song up, but what we need is kind of a faster, hard-driving bluegrass tune. You don't need another waltz, because there were already two on the record, you know. So he gave me permission. We reworked it, you know, and the first time the full lineup played it together was at the studio. You know, we just kind of went in and kind of just said, well, let's see how it works out, you know. And it did. It came out to be a really nice tune, you know. So that was really special to me. You know, I called him up and said, hey, we recorded your song and we sent you a copy of it, you know, and thank you so much. You know, it was appropriate. You know, the red buds were blooming.
Right.
You know, spring was coming. It felt like something we should do, and I was really happy to do it for him.
Wow, that's awesome.
You know,
yeah, that's so cool.
It was really special. It was kind of to me. It said, you know, we worked really hard on something, and we were still coming up short, but we'd been working, and then the universe kind of handed us that.
Yeah, and what other industry musically can you be in where something like that could happen for a fan like that? You know, you can't do that in the pop world. You can't do that in the commercial country world. You know, you probably can't do that in the jazz world. So it's kind of
no,
cool.
You absolutely probably can't. Yeah, you probably can't do it at all. You know, it's kind of like, you know, he was the sweetest guy, just really nice guy. You know, and on the recording, it's like on the single release, his version of it isn't on there. You know. But it's on the album. It's the last song on the record.
Okay.
The song finishes, and then it fades into him singing it.
Yeah.
You know, he sings the whole song, and then at the end of it, he says, "Well, I hope that worked out for you. I'll catch you later." And he hangs up. You know,
That's cool.
and that's kind of how the record ends.
Yeah,
I think it's
that's
just
cool.
really neat.
That's neat.
You know?
Yeah. So where can folks get in touch with you guys? Where can they get the CD when it releases next month? What's the best way to reach out?
Well, it's jakobsferry.com, www.jakobsferry.com, and you have to spell Jakobs with a K. You know, we spell Jakobs with a K instead of a C. And it's actually available for pre-order right now.
Good.
You know?
Okay.
Lots of bands do, you know, online fundraising and stuff to fund their records, and we did that for the last record, and it was really fantastic. We got our goal in like a day and a half.
Wow,
you know, it
that's
took
awesome.
like a day and a half. We had like $6,000 in a day and a half.
Yeah.
But I found the whole process to be really stressful.
Yeah.
You know, it was just all this money showed up, and then we had to deliver it, and we actually delivered it a little bit late. You know.
Okay.
So I felt kind of bad about that. You know,
right.
This time around, I figured, like, you know, I mean, making a record costs a little more money than people think it does.
Sure,
you know?
It does. Yeah.
It does, you know. So I just said, well, we're just going to pre-sale the record, you know, and that's how we're going to raise the money for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it worked, you know. We got about half of the total amount, you know, off of the pre-sale, and it's still available. If you order it now, as soon as I have the record in my hands, I'll mail it out.
Okay.
You know, so you get it ahead of time, and I anticipate. I think it's probably going to go to print in about a week and a half.
Okay. Neat.
You know. We're in the final stages of approving the artwork and you know, all that stuff, and I actually just got the final master of it last night.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you order it now, you probably have it about 2 weeks early.
Okay. Good deal.
Because it's slated to come out June 15th.
Yeah. Yeah, neat. Well, we certainly wish you the best with it, and you know, thanks, Gary, for sharing all that with us and getting a chance to learn a little more about yourself and the band and some of the neat things, especially that last story with that song. You know, I think if nothing else, folks ought to get it and listen to that because that sounds exciting and it's neat to be a part of that. So, thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of Americana Music Profiles. Find us on iTunes at Americana Music Profiles and on the internet at AmericanaRhythm.com.